meeting of the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority, and at that meeting, we selected officers for the authority. And as it turns out, yours truly was appointed the chair of the brand new rail authority. Thanks, Ann. Thank you. The vice chair is Jason Stewart from Glendive over in Dawson County. The secretary is Commissioner Bill Berg from Park County. And the treasurer will be a gentleman named Jerry McDonald, who is over in Sanders County in Thompson Falls. So we are off to the races, and I think Andrew, you might have even volunteered to participate on our finance committee. Is that correct?
I did volunteer to participate in the finance committee, so I'm excited about that. I was jumping between teams meetings, so I wrote you a note and asked you if I could volunteer.
Yeah,
didn't hear back, but
absolutely, yeah. I've been a little bogged down since last night with email, but yeah, you'd be more than welcome. We're going to have a few citizen volunteers on that, including former state budget director Dan Bucks, I think, also volunteered to participate. So
great,
should be good.
Well, great to hear, and a great geographical spread too.
Yes, and we had a county commissioner from Custer County on the line, and he is fully engaged and is they're ready to pull the trigger and join on as county number 13.
Oh, great!
Yeah, we had a
Jason. Who was that?
It is a brand new county commissioner, Scott something or another. I can't recall offhand.
Great.
But also Lewis and Clark County is turning the bend, perhaps. Commissioner Hunthausen was on the line from Lewis and Clark County, and I think they are going to also, well, my fingers are crossed. They might connect the dots in Western Montana, and they'll come on board. So stay tuned.
I thought it was a great meeting. I really enjoyed the presentation by Amtrak. I thought that was very informative, and their willingness to participate in this venture is fantastic.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I think someone brought up the analogy yesterday. Getting this thing up and running is a little like constructing the train while it's already moving down the track. So we're trying to feel our way through this as we go. All right. So is Jenny on the line yet? No.
I do not see her. I'll try to email her. I've sent her an invite.
Okay, well, that notwithstanding, let's go ahead and jump ahead to your two items, Jerry. The first of which is an annual agreement with MSU.
Yes, that's we have an annual agreement with them. This is this year's. I actually had it put together last fall before I took a little trip, went a different direction for a while. In this in particular covers our budget, and we share salary on 4 of the positions here with them, which they want to make sure we're part of that. So that's basically what it is. Annual agreement with MSU Extension.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope. Seems super straightforward. So I move that we approve the 2021 annual agreement, or yes, item number 3.
Okay, I will second that. Any further discussion or public comment on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next, an amendment to the contract with A&E Architects. Jerry.
Yes, this is an agreement. Their initial contract pretty well covers the building part of our new facility. This one puts kind of covers the garden area, maybe a few other things. And so this is added to that contract. It was adds $109,930 to it.
Great. And Jerry, that presentation yesterday was just so fantastic. I'm really, really excited.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Yes. After people see it and think about it a little bit, they just get more excited. So it is going to be an addition.
I move to approve the contract amendment with A&E Architects.
I will second that. Any further discussion on this? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, likewise, great presentation yesterday. Jerry, super exciting stuff. Look forward to seeing some ground being broken out there.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay, and I'm still not seeing Jenny Daniels yet. So why don't we continue to hold those items? Let's move ahead to some of the other bits of business on here. Is there any correspondence we need to deal with today?
Commissioners, we are working on that letter to the federal delegation, but unfortunately that'll be on Tuesday.
Okay. Thank you for working on that. Discussion items. Sycamore Street property. Dory, are you bringing this to us?
No, Commissioners, this is John Hart from the County Attorney's Office. I'm bringing this to you. You may recall a couple of months ago, I talked to you about a small strip of land, and let me see if I can share my screen here and it'll show it. Are people seeing the image of
Yep.
rattlesnake?
Yes, yes.
So if I can use my cursor, Missoula County owns this very narrow 10-foot strip of land that comes from Sycamore Street right away. And of course, this is in the city limits. Comes from the Sycamore Street property down to and across Rattlesnake Creek. Missoula County got this property in the 70s from one of the neighbors. Nobody knows why, perhaps because they were tired of paying property taxes on it. I don't know. If you go look at this property like I have, you'll see that it has very little potential for development. In fact, it has zero potential for development, for any residential or commercial development. Really, the only value of this property, in my mind, to the county is access from Sycamore Street down to Rattlesnake Creek and the high water mark, and so it's a non-motorized access for the public to Rattlesnake Creek. Earlier this summer, I was approached by the ditch rider for the Hamilton Day Ditch Company, wondering if they could put one of their laterals for their ditch company down this strip and return some of their ditch water to Rattlesnake Creek. This is something that DNRC and Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has encouraged them to do. As it stands right now, their ditch water does not return to Rattlesnake Creek. When I talked to you a couple of months ago, it was my opinion that Missoula County didn't want to own this strip, didn't want to have an open irrigation ditch or even a buried pipe through the property down to the creek. That it made more sense for Missoula County to sell this property, but sell it after we had imposed perpetual non-motorized public access on the property, and then that would maintain the recreational value for Missoula County, and we would be able to unload a piece of real property that really is of no value to Missoula County and could be of value to a ditch company, and then also the greater public good of having irrigation water returned back to the creek. So you all said that this was something that you would entertain. I said that we would get an appraisal of the property. That's happened. It was appraised. It's a 3,100 square foot piece of land, and it appraised at $4,400. However, that it would probably be worth significantly less if there was a pedestrian, a perpetual non-motorized access on the property. So what I would propose to the commission today is that Missoula County publish notice that this property is for sale, and, you know, entertain a bid process and sell this property. Of course, we hope that the ditch company would be the highest bidder, but we, you know, they would have to be the highest bidder, or we would have to determine that higher bids weren't appropriate under the circumstance. Is that something that the commission is still interested in pursuing? In which case, what I would do is, one, draft the easement and record that easement, and then publish some sort of a notice this property is for sale in the Missoulian, and otherwise comply with Montana law and other requirements for selling county property.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, John. My one question, and I think you hinted at it already, would be, would there be a way to evaluate bids such that if someone, if the ditch company hypothetically put in a bid and it was lower than someone else's, that we would have some criteria, maybe non-monetary value criteria, to judge whether they would actually be the winning bid, such as there's clearly some, according to DNRC, I guess, some public benefit to getting water back into the Rattlesnake Creek drainage and such.
I can't guarantee that we could make those allowances, Dave, but we'll make every allowance we can within the spirit and letter of Montana law. I know I've talked to you guys several times where we have limited latitude when it comes to selling real property. I am, however, confident that it's very likely the only bid we would get is from the ditch company. I think the only other entity that might bid on this is an adjacent landowner, but of course that would then add to their individual property taxes. Probably not much, but at least some. And so I think it's unlikely that there'll be a bid other than the ditch company.
Well, and I don't know for a fact, but if I was one of the adjoining property owners, I don't know what the advantage to me in owning a sliver would be if there is a perpetual public access easement over it. It might be different if there was no such encumbrance, but Juanita, what are your thoughts?
No, same. So yes, please, John, go ahead and draft that, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that the ditch company is the high bidder.
Okay. So the next thing you'll see then for me will be an action item at an admin meeting with an easement for you to consider taking action on.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Very
thank
good.
you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. And it looks like Jenny Daniels has joined us, so let's go ahead and jump back up to the action item portion of the agenda. Jenny, you've got, it looks like 2 items for us today. Do you want to go ahead and introduce these?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was late. Okay, so which one's the first one? Sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
The first one is authorizing the chair to sign 2 contracts, one with YWCA and one with First Step Resource Center.
Okay, so that one is based on our Improving Criminal Justice Responses grant. And I guess Josh signed it a few months ago. So we got the grant, and that grant is the one that we share a lot of money with the other people. Our admin is our personnel is very, very small. I think I'm 0.05 in the grant. And then we send money to First Step for SANE nurses to allow them to have 24-hour response. So we cover the nighttime. And then we also increase the stipends for some of the advocates that respond to First Step, because the Student Assault Resource Center on campus, they have a lot of more money, and those advocates want to volunteer there versus the Y. So we supplement that, and then they volunteer at the Y. So those are the two things, and yeah, and then that'll allow us to give them the money.
Great. Thanks, Jenny.
Have any questions?
No. Motion that our chair sign both these contracts.
Okay, I'll second that. Any further discussion or comments from the public? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, the next is Violence Against Women Act.
Yeah, so that one is, we are applying to get, this is a yearly grant, so we have to apply every year. And we are just applying to fund that position. It's 0.65 of me, and then it does have county match, so Chantel and Amanda are in there a little bit. And then that really funds my work on coordinating just response. And then I do have funding from other sources, so that's why it's at 0.65. And it really runs our projects, like the FIBI's project that we do and the lethality assessment project.
Okay.
Great. I move that the chair sign our fiscal year 22 Stop Violence Against Women's Act grant application. How much is?
It's total, it's about 81,000, I believe. And then, but 25% of that's matched. So I want to say it's like 65 coming in, something in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'll second that. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I will be back in a few weeks for you to accept the one from last year because it's all gotten moved. So I'll see you in a few weeks.
Great.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Talking about similar stuff.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
Okay, jumping back down to discussion items. Anything legislatively we need to discuss today? Chris? Or anyone else?
Oops, you're muted, Chris.
Even though it looks like you're not muted, your mouth is moving, but there is no sound.
And Martin has his hand up.
While Chris is working on his audio, Martin Kidston.
I am ready with my audio. Hey, I'm just curious if the sweeping number of presidential executive orders signed yesterday have any impact on any county efforts or concerns or business or anything like that you're aware of at this point in time.
Good question, Martin. I have not seen a comprehensive list of all of the executive orders issued yesterday. I'm optimistic that whatever the contents of them are, that they will be, I suspect, beneficial from my standpoint. Chris, do you have any insight on that? Or
Hopefully you can hear me now.
Yes.
We can hear you now.
All right, huzzah. I do not yet. I have not yet seen a list either from the administration. So hopefully we'll get that shortly and then have an idea. But nothing, at least in what's been announced that I've been able to read in news sources coming out of Washington, has anything that's a direct impact to local government, other than looking forward to the increased coordination with the federal government, obviously related to the vaccine distribution and that planning, which Missoula County's undertaken a large effort in. So,
Martin, do you have any follow-up on that?
No, that'll be fine for now. Thank you.
Okay.
yeah, sorry, Martin. So just two things to go over today. The first one, so that you're aware, and we've talked about this one before, the bill for elections administrators to be under an elected position instead of being an appointed position under an elected commission, which is how it is currently in Missoula County, is up for hearing on Monday. I did not know if any one of you wanted to testify on that at all. We, of course, will send comments opposing that. Missoula County, Yellowstone, and several others have appointed elections administrators who work still for an elected commission. They just don't work for a singular elected officer. So I didn't know if any of you were interested in testifying on that.
Josh isn't here, so Let's make Josh do it.
I think someone ought to. Who do we have from our delegation on this committee?
Sure. So if you give, Ann is on also, so one of us could pull that up really quick. I apologize. I don't have that right up in front of me.
I believe it's Senator Bennett. It's a Senate bill, so it's in the Senate State Admin. Yeah, Representative or Senator Bennett is the Vice Chair of Senate State Administration.
Well, Josh is on the Elections Advisory Committee, so I think there would be a great deal of logic in him testifying on our behalf, even though he's not with us right now. But
so we'll put together some information in addition to the opposition piece, and then we'll go ahead and get Josh remotely registered and see if we can fit that into his schedule for Monday. And I really appreciate you guys testifying on that. As you know, both Ann and I, and Ann certainly has been here and been part of it far longer than I have related to the elections piece. But having elections that are fair, accurate, and nonpartisan in the fact that you know, you're not on the ballot every 4 years, I think is a benefit to Missoula County. So. And we certainly saw that during the presidential election, I would argue, with an incredibly smooth process pulled off by very professional staff under Bradley. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. And then the other one I just wanted to touch base on, you and Josh isn't here, and I apologize for this, so we may need to revisit this next week when he's here as well. We had talked the other day about whether there were any of the, I'm just going to call them social justice bills, so bills around things like the one that most recently happened was, you know, around limitations being imposed on folks who are transgender and some of the other social justice issues related to court reform and those things, whether the commission wanted to take kind of a stance on some of those bills. And you had indicated that you were comfortable doing that. It's a little different than we've done in the past around that. But staff is happy to put those messages together. Our thoughts were that we would target those on the day the bill was going to the floor rather than the committee, because it's always kind of an interesting mix that happens. And that way all of our delegation gets that on the day of the actual votes for those. But I wanted to make sure that that would meet with your needs, or if you wanted us reaching out also during committees. Those messages are a little harder to put together and a little more formal when they're going to the floor. And so that just gives us a little bit more time to get good thoughts around that, because we want to make sure to kind of have it well articulated. So,
yeah, that timing makes sense to me. I'm sorry, what was different, or how is this different than what happened in the past?
So in the past, we've typically just focused largely on the bills that have a direct impact to local government. So and by a direct impact, I mean, you know, on the monetary and the workload and those kinds of things. Obviously, these social justice and criminal justice bills have an impact to the county constituency as a whole, but they're not what I'm going to call operational bills as far as that piece. I think it's perfectly appropriate for the commission to take a stance on those. Every commission feels just a little bit differently. This, you know, over the last several years, the commission, this commission and previous incarnations of the commission have really worked on a lot of these social justice issues. So I actually think it's perfectly appropriate to be moving in this direction. It's just, it is a little bit of a change. And so we want to make sure that we match up your expectations and what we're doing so that those things align really well, because it'll be a new process for us too, as opposed to what I'll call our standard legislative piece. So
got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so we just want to make sure we align, you know, expectation and deliverance of that, because obviously we send those messages on your behalf. So.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
That sounds good. The only exception, Chris, would be if we do have folks on whatever committees some of these bills are flowing through, I would not be averse to reaching out to them in advance before something moves out of committee to the floor. And in some cases, perhaps even testifying on specific bills, depending on what it is.
Okay. Yeah, and we're happy to you know, get shorter messages to those, but I think some of these deserve I'm just going to call it a more comprehensive than some of our short targeted messages to committees of like, we have these specific concerns. Some of them have just, you know, as you all are aware, just much bigger impacts on our community. And so,
right.
So I think having that more full piece for the floor will the full floor votes will be important too. So
Yeah,
And
that
those-
sounds good.
just those two since last those two issues, clarifying that one, and then the elections administrator. So
Okay.
sure there will be more, but that's all we have for today.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Thank you.
Sarah Bell, you've just appeared on the screen. Do you have something related to communications for us?
I do, yep. Allison couldn't be here today, so she just wanted me to let you all know that Allison and I are part of the Missoula County COVID-19 vaccination coordination team, so we're providing public information support for the team. She just wanted to let you know and have a heads up if you had any questions about the team and what we're doing, or any insight you wanted to share. But currently the team is working on just getting our ducks in a row and figuring out our operations, getting the call center together and getting staff hired for that. They're training the call center operators this weekend with the hopes of launching that on Monday. And our team is just providing support, getting the news out to the community, where we're at with the vaccination, what phases we're in, still in phase 1A, and just working on making sure the message is clear and accurate.
Great. Great
Sarah,
to hear that.
Will there be
Monday.
a standalone website related to vaccination here at some point?
Yep, so we already have it up on the COVID website that has been there this whole time. It's at the top. There's a special tile for it. So it's a vaccination tile. So it's on the main page that we already have created. Click on the vaccination tile, and then as we progress, there'll be more information added to it. Right now it's fairly basic, but it gets the information out that's needed currently.
Okay, thanks. That's
Yep.
great.
So
I did-
Allison built that out, and our team is the one who will be updating that.
Cool. Ann?
I just wanted to give a shout out to our comms folks. Allison, Sarah, and Emmy are doing a lot of really incredible work and some pretty heavy lifting right now with all of this and their regular jobs and the pandemic and legislative session. And so just a particularly strong shout out to our comms folks.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The best in the state of Montana, without a doubt.
Thanks.
You
Did
bet.
you have any questions at all, or?
No, the main question that I've gotten from folks so far is just where to go for information. So it's great to hear that we'll be, I guess, ramping up what you've described is available on the internet right now.
Okay, yep. So I'll send you the link again. It's the main COVID page, but just so you have it in your pocket, and that's just where to direct folks right now.
Great.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
good. Thank you. Okay, anything else that we need to address? Upcoming events? Any final business?
Commissioners, I sense Jerry Marks is still on the line. I resisted the urge to share this story yesterday during the fairgrounds update, but I a couple years ago, Jerry and I met in my office here, and Jerry wanted to tell me about this idea that he had to partner with the Butterfly House and have them with the weed and extension facility on the fairgrounds. He told me about it, and I was like, Jerry, that's a terrible idea. This is an outfit. They're on a shoestring budget. They're never going to be able to raise 7 figures. This facility has been a dream and a goal of yours forever. Why are you wasting your time doing this? And Jerry said, hey, do you have any legal concerns? And I said, no, I don't have any legal concerns. I'm not going to get in the way of it, but I'm on record that this is a bad idea. And later on in the day, Jerry's son, Jason Marks, who was in our office then, of course, Jason is now the Honorable Jason Marks, but Jason came in and said, hey, what did my dad want? And I said, Jason, your dad's got this pipe dream. And I explained to him what it was. I said, I don't know what he's thinking. I think he's losing it. And Jason looked at me and he said, John, you got to understand one thing. My dad loves bugs. And so there we have it. Jerry's vision, his love of bugs has got us here today. And you know, my profession is not known for its vision, and there's good reason for that. And I'm proud of what Jerry's done out there. Yesterday's meeting was very exciting, and I want to congratulate Jerry for his vision. Thank God he's got some vision.
Okay, thanks, John.
Yeah, thanks, John. And I guess the additional moral to that story is if John Hart says it's a bad idea, full steam ahead.
There might be some truth to that too. So.
Hi, Annie. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just a FYI, a couple of the documents that Jenny has from today's admin need to have wet signatures. So I'll get those printed and just routed in the big yellow envelopes on your desk. So whenever you have time to sign, that would be great.
Yeah, I think there's something else I need to sign, physically sign today. I'll try my best to get into the office.
Okay, sounds great. Just a heads up there that I'll get those out there and ready for you guys.
Great. Okay. Thanks,
Great.
everyone. Have a great day or a weekend if I don't see you before next week.
Thank you, you as well.
Goodbye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks.